Hi everyone. So we are three guys from Hungary, Budapest, from the Central European University. Our team name is Supervised Learning. The emphasis is on the learning. This is actually our first time participating in such an event. Let me ask you a question actually. So how many of you have been to such an event before, either a Kaggle challenge or a hackathon like this? So I want to see some hands. I see a lot of hands. So most of you have been. We are really new, and we definitely have learned a lot. So I would like to take the opportunity to thank the organizers for everything that we have been through. And actually, let's see how we reward that hospitality. So our goal was essentially to give you an overview of different segments of how Warner Brothers will be able to reach over 40% of a population with just two specific segments that we identified in the demographic population in the US. You will be able to identify their consumption behavior. You will be able to predict when and how they will consume digital content, and also be there at the right place at the right time, which is obviously very important. So we identified actually 6 clusters, out of which 2 we think are really important. One of them being, we tried to come up with very funny names that didn't work out, but young guns is one of them. Young guns are people who are fairly young and they don't earn a lot of money yet, but they watch a lot of content. So we feel like that for Warner Brothers, this will be very important because they are the ones who actually spend way more time on Netflix, Hulu, YouTube, watching digital content than any other groups that we identified in the data. The other group, which are mostly family men or women, they are the people who are in the 30 to 45 age range, who have already usually have children. They are the groups with actually the most children, and they have high income. They watch less than the young ones. However, since they have a lot of money and they actually spend that money on such entertainment, they are also another group which Warner Brothers should focus on. So here you can see basically distribution of the two groups' income and their age. You can see how these two groups are actually very, very different. And so how is their consumption behavior? What we were able to identify is that younger people generally watch a lot more content on YouTube, which turns into the fact that they also watch shorter content. And another interesting fact considering them is that contrary to what family people do, they watch new content which comes out mostly on streaming services, whereas family people, they usually watch it live on TV still. We actually identified the same pattern throughout all the age ranges, so we feel like going forward, this will be the trend that people will go towards, that streaming services are becoming more popular, which is obviously a thing, as you all know. So actually, the main question is, how should you engage these people? How do you reach them? Well, for this one, we as Adam mentioned, we built a predictive model which you will be able to use to not just identify how these different groups watch content, but you will be also entitled to see it on a personal level. So just looking at the groups, you can see a distribution of number of views in the two different groups by time of day in this chart. So you can see that the trends are slightly similar. However, in the younger group, you can see how they watch a lot more content overnight. I can tell you that if I were in this survey, I would be in the young guns, and I can't tell you how many nights I spent watching Big Bang Theory or some other movies. So this is definitely true. Another interesting thing is that they watch content more frequently. So these are the people who not just watch more, but they are, as I said, watch more frequently, so you can engage them more and more if you want to. The family members, however, they don't watch overnight. They obviously have to go to work the next day, so they have to go to sleep. However, mostly they watch in the afternoon or in the mornings. And actually, another interesting trend is that younger people watch on mobile more than any other groups. Actually, the young guns people do, and the family people mostly watch on web still. So our predictive model, as I mentioned, you will be able to use to predict consumption behavior on a user level, which we think is very, very useful. We had to make 3 predictions, one of them being which device the the consumer will use in order to consume this content. Actually, it turns out that predicting that is really easy. So what they have used before mostly identifies what they will use in the future, so you can focus on that. As for which day they will, or in how many days they will watch content the next time, that's also fairly easy to predict. It turns out that if people watch content on more than one device, then usually they tend to watch more content and more frequently, whereas if they only watch on mobile or in web, there will be a higher lag there. Also for the last one, time of day, that's something that's harder to predict. There were 7 categories that we had to decide on, which you can see here, morning till overnight. And predicting that was actually not that easy. It turns out that demographic information and education are very important predictors in this case. However, even with this accuracy, you can still be 3 times as good as just flipping a coin, which we think is pretty good. So using our model, just to sum up what we have talked about, using our model, you will be able to identify consumption behaviors not only in these segments that will be important for Warner Brothers, but also you will be able to engage these customers on a customer level, actually. So that's it for us. We would like to thank you once again for having us. It was really fun. We learned a lot. So thank you very much.